Hello and welcome to this session of Class 9 Mathematics, and I am your Anu for Chapter 7 Triangles. Triangles, we have seen all the criterion for congruent triangles in the last class, and now we'll see some more concepts regarding triangles. Okay, so today let's take a triangle A, B and C. Okay, so sorry, let me take it as the angles has to be in capital letters, please don't forget. So ABC is a triangle, and let us take, so the opposite side, let me take it as A and this as C and this as B. Okay, so C and B. So let me take C to be the longest side in the triangle. So we have some results regarding the sides of the triangle. So first is for an acute angled triangle. So in an acute angled triangle, what do you mean by an acute angled triangle? We have done that already. Acute angle triangle is all the angles in the triangle has to be acute. That is, it has to be less than 90 degrees. Okay, so if all the angles are acute angles, then we call the triangle to be an acute angle triangle. So in an acute angle triangle, I have given the condition C to be the longest side. Let us assume that C to be the longest side here. Okay, so then how do we write? We have the condition C squared is less than A squared plus B squared. So C squared is always less than, though we have taken C to be the longest side, C squared, the square of C is always less than the sum of the squares of the other two sides. And if it's a right angled triangle, we know right angled triangle, isn't it? So right angle triangle, if it's a right angle triangle, so this is C. The longer side or side opposite to 90 degrees, right angle, the side opposite to right angle is always the longest side. So here C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. This is known according to Pythagoras theorem. C squared, hypotenuse, see the hypotenuse is the longest side, isn't it? So C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared in a right angle triangle, we know that. And in an obtuse angle triangle, what do you mean by obtuse angle triangle? That is, one of the angle in a triangle is more than 90 degrees. That is, it is more than 90 degrees, it is obtuse. See, this is the case where we write this as C. Okay, so one of the angles is obtuse and we call this triangle to be an obtuse angle triangle. And for this type of triangles, we have C squared is greater than A squared plus B squared. So when you square the longest side, you have C squared is greater than A squared plus B squared. So please keep these things in your mind, so that when you construct a triangle, or when you find the sides, unknown sides of the triangles, you'll be able to relate it, or you will be able to check whether you have found it or you have done it rightly or not. So for acute angle triangle, C squared is always less than A squared plus B squared. For right angle triangle, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. And for obtuse angle triangle, it's C squared greater than A squared plus B squared. Okay. Then for, we know the angle sum property, that is, the sum of all angles in a triangle is 180 degree, we know, isn't it? See, angle A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degree always. Angle sum property is 180 degrees. The sum of all angles should be equal to 180 degree. If it is less than 180 degree, or if it is greater than, even 1 degree greater than 180 degree, you won't be able to construct a triangle, isn't it? So keep this in mind. And what do we know about this is, if one of the angles is 90 degree in right angle triangle, if one of the angles, see, one of the angles has to be 90 degrees, isn't it? Then the sum of the other two angles, has to be 90 degrees. Okay, not more than that, not less than that, because angle sum property says the sum of all angles is equal to 180 degrees. So do remember that these things, these little things will help you when you construct a triangle. Okay, so this is the first thing we have learned today, the relationship between the sides of the triangles, of the three types of triangles. Okay, so we'll learn about some terms, new terms. We are going to read about some new terms. See, let this triangle be ABC. Okay, now what I do is I mark the midpoint of this triangle. Okay, midpoint of this side. See, BC side, I mark the midpoint of side BC. So D is the midpoint of BC, and E is the midpoint of AC, and F is the midpoint of AB. See, I have marked the midpoints of all the sides. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join the opposite vertex. See, if this is one side, the opposite vertex is A. The opposite vertex of BC is A. Likewise, the opposite vertex of AC is B. Likewise, the opposite vertex of AB is C. Okay, opposite vertex. So I join the midpoint to the opposite vertex. Okay. Now let me join B to E. Okay. Now C to F. See, I have drawn three lines such that the line joins the midpoint of a side to the opposite vertex. So likewise, I have drawn for all the sides. Okay, so now what is this line called? What is this? AD, BE and CF are called? They are called the medians of the triangle. So medians of the triangle, what do you mean by medians of the triangle? The line segment joining the midpoint of the side to the opposite vertex. So that is called median. So we'll have three medians in a triangle, and those three medians are concurrent. So what do you mean by concurrent? Concurrent means they all meet at a common point. So the point of concurrence, which is the point of concurrence? So this is the point of concurrence here, and this point of concurrence is denoted by G, because G is called the centroid. Okay, this is called the centroid, the center of, not the center, the point of concurrence of all the medians. The medians are concurrent, that is, they all meet at a common point, and that common point is called centroid, or it is denoted by G. And this G, this point G, it divides. So when you see, I have drawn it roughly, even though I have drawn it roughly, you can see AD is divided by this point centroid, isn't it? This point G, that is centroid, it is dividing the median AD into two parts. Okay, when I observe this, AG is larger than GD. See how it divides? It divides by the ratio 2:1. So 2 parts by 1 part. So each median is divided into 2:1 ratio. So we can write it like this: AG by GD is equal to BG by GE is equal to CG by GF is equal to 2:1. Okay, so it divides the medians in the ratio 2:1. Okay, so that you keep in mind. So centroid is the point of concurrence of all the medians. So what is a median? It is the midpoint of the side joined with the opposite vertex. The line segment which joins the midpoint of the side, one side with the opposite vertex. Likewise, we have three medians, and three medians meet at a point which is called centroid. Do you understand? So this is about medians. Now the next thing is, so we have done medians. The next term we are going to learn about is, so take A, B, C. Okay, now I am going to drop a perpendicular from each vertex to the opposite side. So what do you mean by a perpendicular? That is a line which forms 90 degree with the side. So from the vertex, from the opposite vertex, I am going to draw a perpendicular. See, this is a perpendicular, which means this is 90 degree. This perpendicular need not be the midpoint of the side. See, need not be the midpoint of the side. I'll tell you a condition where it is a midpoint of the side. But now, let us understand that the line from the vertex to the opposite side, a perpendicular drawn from the vertex to the opposite side. Likewise, I draw perpendiculars for all the sides. Okay, so all these are perpendiculars, that is the line which is at 90 degrees with the side from the vertex. What are these lines called? See, again I name them as AD, BE and CF. So what are these lines called? AD, BE and CF. These are called the altitudes. What do you mean by altitude? That is the height of the triangle. So the altitudes of the triangle, we have drawn the altitudes of the triangle. Altitudes are line segment from the vertex to the opposite side which are perpendicular, which makes 90 degree with the side. So that is called the altitude of the triangle. So the altitudes of the triangles, just like medians, they are also concurrent. That is, they all meet at a point, and the point of concurrency, see, the point of concurrency is called the orthocenter. What is it called? It is called the orthocenter. Just note it down. This is called the orthocenter. So the point of concurrence O is called the orthocenter. Okay, do you understand? So this is called the orthocenter, the point of concurrence, and it is formed, the point of concurrence is formed by the intersection of the altitudes of the triangle. Okay, so the altitudes, all the altitudes will remain the same for a triangle. So you can draw a perpendicular, you can drop a perpendicular from the vertex to the opposite side. Do you understand? So this is what we have for a triangle. Okay, so this is altitude and the point of concurrency is orthocenter. Now the next thing we are going to see about is we have seen altitudes and medians. The next thing is I'll draw a triangle. A, B and C. Okay, now what I am going to do is I am going to draw a line here such that it bisects the angle. Okay, so what is that line called? It is called the angle bisector. We have seen already. So it is called the angle bisector. Now the same way I am drawing for this angle too. So this bisects this angle B, and another line which bisects angle C. Okay, so at D, E and F. So the lines which bisects the angles are called angle bisectors, and even the angle bisectors are concurrent. So what are AD, BE and CF called? They are all angle bisectors. Okay, so even they are concurrent, that is, they meet at a point, and the point of concurrency I mark it as I, that is, they are called in center. When it is called in center, the point of concurrency is called in center, and it is denoted by I. Now what is the speciality of, what is the importance of in center? Now if I draw a perpendicular from I to any of the vertex, okay, I draw a perpendicular from I to any of the sides of the triangle, not the vertex, any of the sides of the triangle, I draw a perpendicular. So with this as radius, I draw a circle which touches, so sorry, it doesn't look like a circle, but you can draw a circle which touches all the sides of the triangle. What does it do? The circle which we have drawn, see this, I mark it as I, and IP is called the in radius, and the circle I have drawn is called the incircle. Okay, so a circle can be drawn which touches all the sides of the triangle with the radius formed. IP is the radius, and IP is obtained by drawing a perpendicular from in-center to any of the sides. We can draw perpendicular to any of the sides and all the radius will be the same. Okay, so this is called the incircle, and in-center is obtained by drawing angular bisectors from all the angles of the triangle, and the point of concurrence is called in-center, that is represented by I. Okay, that you need to understand. So after medians we saw orthocenter, now it's in-center, and another one is, see, let's have a triangle here. Okay, so this is A, B and C. Earlier I said for altitudes you need to drop a perpendicular from the vertex to the opposite side, isn't it? Now it is also a perpendicular line, but how it is drawn? It is drawn by by drawing a perpendicular bisector to all the sides. Sorry. So I am drawing it like this because while constructing a perpendicular bisector, we take more than half as radius, cut arcs on both sides. With the same radius, you cut arc on the previous arc, and when you join this, you get the perpendicular bisector. What do you mean by perpendicular bisector? Bisector because it divides the sides into two equal halves. Perpendicular because it is at 90 degrees to the side of the triangle. So likewise, I draw perpendicular bisectors for all the sides. Okay, which meets at D, E and F respectively. So I draw perpendicular bisectors for all the sides, which divides the sides into two equal halves, and it is perpendicular to the sides. Okay, so these are the perpendicular bisectors, and these perpendicular bisectors, see A, D, if I join this, related to, so it has to join, so AD, no, it doesn't join, sorry, this is a perpendicular bisector, isn't it? So we can't name them as ADBC. So this is the center, I name it as C, the center to be C, CD, CE and CF, they are the perpendicular bisectors. Okay, they are perpendicular bisectors, and they are also concurrent. Okay, they meet at a point called C, which we name it as circumcenter. So what is it called? It is called circumcenter. What is it called? It is called circumcenter. Okay, so with C, and when I join, see, I need to join A and C. So this is different from this. So let me join C to A here, and this C to C and C to B. Okay, so now what is this distance? With this distance, with BC or AC or CC, they are same. They are one and the same, because AC, the CC and BC are one and the same. I'll say you how. With AC as radius, when I draw a circle, it touches all the vertices of the triangle. It touches all the vertices of the triangle. Okay, the circle drawn with radius, see the center and with the vertex, with any of the vertex, center with any of the vertex as a radius, I draw a circle which touches all the vertices of the triangle. So that circle is called the circumcircle. What is it called? It is called the circumcircle. And CA, CB and CC, they are all same, C equal. They are all equal, and they are called, let me term it as C dash, because you get confused. C dash. So C dash C. So that is called the circumradius. With the circumradius, if I inscribe a circle, it touches all the vertices of the triangle. So that is called a circumcircle. You understand? So these are some of the terms we need to learn about triangles, and all the points of concurrence. See, point of concurrence of medians, it is called centroid. Point of concurrence of altitudes, it is called, what is it called, orthocenter. And point of concurrence of angle bisectors, incenter. And point of concurrence of perpendicular bisectors of triangle is called circumcenter. Okay, so these are some of the terms you need to understand about a triangle. And the last one we'll see is perimeter. So we know what is meant by perimeter. Just add all the sides of the triangle. So AB plus BC plus CA. So this will be the perimeter of the triangle. Okay. If it is an equilateral triangle, we have all the sides equal and the perimeter will be 3 times the side. Okay. So that will be the perimeter of the triangle. And the next thing we need to see is, if at all we have an equilateral triangle, so what will be the what are all the, the terms, how do the terms we have just now described, the medians, the median and the angle bisectors, the perpendiculars, that is the height, altitudes, and the angle bisectors and perpendicular bisectors, how do they behave for an equilateral triangle? So for an equilateral triangle, all the sides are equal. Okay, so whatever you draw, the altitude, it will also meet the midpoint of each side because all the sides are equal. So the medians, altitudes, and the angle bisectors, the perpendicular bisectors, they all coincide with each other for an equilateral triangle. So do remember, for an equilateral triangle, all are one and the same. And the point of concurrence, that is the centroid. For medians it is centroid, for altitudes it is orthocenter, for angle bisectors it is incenter, and for perpendicular bisectors it is circumcenter. And these all points of concurrence, they all are one and the same. They all lie on the same, they meet at same point, or they are one and the same. The point is one and the same. So when you mark centroid and when you mark orthocenter, when you mark circumcenter and incenter, they are all the same point. They all lie on the same place. Okay, so they coincide with each other for an equilateral triangle because all sides and all angles are equal. So this is the special feature of equilateral triangle. So the next thing you need to know about triangles is the relationship between angles and sides. So how are angles and sides related? Some of the relation, when the angles are in the ratio, see, angles are in the ratio 1:1:1, then the sides are in the ratio 1:1:1. Because what do you mean by 1:1:1? If angles, okay, angles are equal, then the sides opposite to it are also equal. So angles 1:1:1 ratio, the sides will be in the ratio. Now when the angles are 1:1:2 ratio, then the sides will be 1:1:√2 ratio. Okay, so one side is longer, that is 2 times the other two sides. Then what you have, this is the case of isosceles triangle. We can have this isosceles triangle sometimes for a right angle triangle also you will be having like that, because 45 and 90 degrees is 2 times the angle, isn't it, for right angle triangle? So the sides will be in the ratio 1:1:√2. Now when the angles are in the ratio 1:2:3, then the sides will be in the ratio 1:√3:2. That you need to remember, to be in the ratio 1:√3:2. So some of the results we have regarding angles and sides, relationship between angles and sides, do keep in mind. So whenever you need to apply them, whenever you need to find the sides or angles, vice versa, you will be able to apply them. Okay, so these are some of the terms and some of the things you need to understand about triangles. Okay, so from next class we'll start problems in this chapter, triangles, and mostly we'll be seeing the congruency, that is congruency of triangles. How do we prove the two triangles are congruent with the 5 criterion? We have seen 5 criterion, isn't it? SSS, SAS, AAS, and the RHS, and another one is ASS, isn't it? So AAS, yes, of course. So we have 5 criterion, and depending on which we will prove the triangles to be congruent. Okay, so we'll take up exercises and problems in the next class. Until then, keep revising. It's bye from Anu. Thank you.